Welcome back to the episode about leadership. Oh no, Bastiaan, it's not about leadership, management, senior management, middle management, and how to convince them.
Exactly.
But before that, let's introduce ourselves really quickly.
So, I'm Bastiaan van Hamersveld, CEO of Les. And
I'm Kevin Rommen. I'm the founder of Verandert Gewoon, a org design consultancy helping you to do things a little bit differently and to create more meaningful work environments. We had a great past episode about middle management, and I hope that everybody did check back in to talk further about senior management and how to convince them. But before we do that, I want to take some time to check in because this is a difficult subject.
it is.
Let me ask you a difficult question. Do you have a check-in question?
Do I have a check-in question?
Yeah, I'm putting you on the spot right now. So no is an answer because I always have.
I love it. So my check-in question: when is the last time you wore a coat?
Like a normal jacket or like a
Any?
fancy. Ooh.
No, like for outside, for the rain or for just the warmth, or just for.
Yeah, I often don't wear coats. Less and less, and I always have them in the car. But the last time was the past weekend, and it was something real fun because we went on a Halloween walk with the kids. So there were in our neighborhood all houses who had prepped their garden total Halloween style, and we could visit, and the kids could get candy, and it was real fun and something that some great volunteers in our neighborhood do each year, and I'm really thankful for that. So that was really cool.
So you had the coat because of all the pockets, so you could squeeze
all
in
the
all the
pockets,
candy.
squeeze in some candy, protect myself from the rain, and it helped me because it was Halloween, so I had like a clown's mask and a very large black jacket with a muts. With a
Cap, yeah.
With a cap, it made me a little bit more scary. And you?
Yeah, I don't wear a coat for I think now 6 years or something like that.
Principally, is it?
Yeah. I started doing it because a neighbor started doing it, and I thought, okay, well, he's kind of a nutter. Why are you doing that? And later he explained to me that it's actually very healthy and it's very easy to do. I thought, okay, let's try that experiment. And then I started doing it. And it is actually very good. You never forget your coat. I think perhaps once a year you do forget your coat and then it's pouring out of the sky and then you're soaking wet. But that's once a year. It's not a problem. And the winters are these days not that heavy anymore.
Yeah.
Unless you go skiing. But if you do something long term in the cold, you need to wear a coat anyway. But overall, it's pretty doable.
Nice. Cool. Yeah. I also tend to.
Yeah. So, senior
managers and their coats. Oh no, not their coats. Not their coats. We talked about how to convince middle management.
Yeah.
But senior management. What are the three things that you think that drives the behavior of a senior manager?
Well, often senior manager and or CEO has the company targets on them. So that's one.
Yeah.
And that's a very important one to understand. Usually once a year they tell you those as well at some event. So it's a good moment to pay attention at that time. The other one, depending on the person and where they are, they're often, especially the CEO, is there for a certain period of time. In some companies, it's indefinite, but for most, it's 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And they know that up front. So that means that their whole behavior is glued to that. So that's also a very important one. And I would say the third one, behavior, is driven by the fact that because they're on top, they're often also alone in a way. And the way they operate, it means that all the information which is flowing upwards is filtered tremendously. So they don't always have a real perception of what is going on.
Yeah.
And the only thing they have to really look at is reports, charts, dashboards, whatever, and things they might notice themselves.
Yeah, it's like steering a ship without navigation.
Yeah.
Which is tremendously difficult.
I can only imagine. Yeah.
I think we're missing one important part of this because indeed the company objectives are very important. I would say they are also often focused on costs, which is logical because organizations tend to bulk and grow by definition. So I would say indeed happy customers again.
Yeah.
Happy people again, happy customers, because especially senior management has a whole product focus and they see the customers and the revenue coming in, and costs, spend less and less and less, and do it as lean as mean as possible.
Yeah.
Those are often the things in those company goals that they might understand and might not because of the difficult information sphere that they are entangled with. But I think there's also another one that's very interesting is power in the C-level suite. They're
That's definitely also one of them.
yeah. And it's not only in the C, it's like, okay, shareholders towards C-suite, in the C-suite, because often a C-suite is not managed as a team, but as like different silos with different KPIs that actually need to collaborate in order to provide actual value to customers. And then power coming from the bottom due to misinformation in order to retain power. So that's a very difficult entangled mess to work in.
It is often complex, yes, to do. All right, so
many people forget that at this level, it's not about value and the product only, and we tend to forget that. It's not about just selling more, or costs, or happy people. It's also about retaining and increasing power over the long time. That's a whole different ball game. But if we don't acknowledge that, then you can't convince your boss to go along and do something that's counterintuitive.
yeah,
Doing real org design work, implementing less, those are counterintuitive things. And if you really want to accomplish that, then in order to convince senior management, you should have a plan to increase value from a product perspective, just as much as you need to have a plan how this increases / sustains power of that person.
yes,
And that's really difficult, but needed. And I think what makes it even more difficult is most managers have not been learned how to be a manager. Because we have a gazillion managers that have done an MBA or have studied business administration. Plenty. But in those universities, they don't teach you what a manager does. A manager has 3 tasks. He needs to, it's in the name, manage. That's one. And they tend to do this and are acknowledged to, they are accustomed to giving orders and telling we're going left or right. Or the second one is to strategize. I don't think many managers really strategize. Because a PowerPoint with Gantt charts is not a strategy.
no,
That's a dream full of wishful thinking. A strategy is we have a problem, this is a problem diagnosis, and this is our tactical approach to resolving that problem. It's very in the real world problem solving. And the last one is designing, org designing. Because as a manager, you are responsible to design the organization. I think especially managers that have grown in a corporate environment, they tend to forget or have not been told that you don't need to manage the people. It's your goal to manage the system so that the system manages the people and performs. And that's a challenge. If you want to convince them and you come with a less framework, which is, to me, an org design framework, you need to be careful because you are actually trying to do their job. You're stepping into their power.
Yeah.
It's their mandate.
Well, and the other challenge is you're, again, not necessarily talking the same language.
Yeah.
So you need to have tools to actually address certain pain points in such a short way that you can convince them to continue the discussion.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about senior management, the best way to actually reach them, if you're not on the middle level, is through the middle level. So you need to convince your middle manager first. And we talked about that in the previous session. And then together you can go to the senior manager. But then what are you going to tell them? Because as you mentioned, the managing part is what they sort of sometimes get and know about. The strategy they think they know, and the org design they most of the time don't know about. So at least the last part you should not really talk about yet.
Yet, indeed.
But there are definitely tools that can help. So for example, Org Topologies has a nice tool that can help you facilitate the discussion. It clearly states where are we in terms of organization, where are we with skills, are people thinking by themselves?
Yeah. Scope of skills and scope of mandate.
Exactly. And those are very simple tools and very useful, which everybody can understand.
Yeah. And that helps. I think you should provide them with sort of a case.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, this is where I think we are. This is how this reflects in people, customers, risks. This is how this will sustain or intensify the current power structures. And I always make sort of before going into these discussions, I have a map of the terrain, which I drew myself.
Yeah.
And I think what interestingly, it doesn't really matter if my map is incorrect.
Correct. I agree.
What does matter is that my thinking to come to certain conclusions on that map, that the argumentation was solid. Because they have so little time, so they judge the man, which is fine, which is very good. Is this a solid guy? Okay, he didn't approach the terrain enough, but they know because they have way more information and they are aware that they have more information that other people can't see.
Yep.
That's often what provides them with a particular power leverage.
And one thing that to add to that, when you have that information ready and you're there, always remember to give them a choice. Because you don't know all the situations. So the solution you have in your mind might not necessarily be the ultimate one.
Now you have to provide a solution, but give them an option.
Yes, always.
Because you don't have the full picture.
There might always be something that you didn't think about or are unaware of.
Yeah. And I think it goes even further. But does this relate to owning versus rent? We ended up the previous episode not diving into this. For the listeners that...
we can do a bit more about that.
Yeah. What's owning versus renting? And why does it matter?
So it was Greg Larman who actually came up with this kind of statement. And what he meant by that is when you own something, it means that you're very convinced about it yourself, that you came up with the solution yourself, versus the rent part, where you are telling me, oh, we should do that solution. Yeah. And then I might say, oh yeah, that's fine. Let's go for this solution. But that means I'm not really part of that. I rent your idea.
Yeah.
Even I agree with it. And then I say, okay, let's execute this. And that's often how, for example, a safe implementation or even other agile implementations were done. Top management says, oh yeah, good idea. Let's do that. Let's give it a try for a few years. And that means rent. And owning means that the manager or the CEO actually believes in it.
Yeah.
And how you came to that belief, that's what you need to work on. But that's owning versus rent. And it's very important.
What I often do is don't tell your idea. Circle around it. As long until people come up with, hey, could we or should we do this?
Yeah, for example.
And that helps. So problem. So you always need to craft a possible solution or hint on it. State 10% of that possible solution. And then circle around the problem. Less risk, happy people, more delivery, increased power, the things that we were making an impact, and then enlighten particular, because they don't have full information. Just show them bits and pieces of what's happening in the organization that you tend to know, because that's your information leverage, which is disproportional towards a senior manager. And then show them potential solutions until the question comes, we indeed should do something about this.
Yep.
And I heard you mentioning this in the beginning as a potential solution. And then you're almost there in providing that.
Yeah, oh, definitely. And in the previous session, we also mentioned a possible way to get there is through systems modeling.
Yeah.
That's also something you can definitely do with the CEO even though he doesn't have that much time for this. If the problem is important enough, and for that you need the middle management sponsor, you can actually have the CEO own the particular problem and solution through a method like systems thinking and modeling.
Systems modeling, and I think, are you referring to causal loop diagramming?
Yep.
Stuff like that. It's a challenging one to learn to people I've experienced.
I agree, but that's where you are as a facilitator.
Exactly.
Like you said, you have your idea and you're circling a little bit around it. You do the same with CLD.
Yeah.
But the benefit is, because you're together on the whiteboard or whatever it is, you're actually having the other person or persons believe that they are getting to the solution.
It works.
Because one of the things that is very important for a CLD are the variables. And it's not always easy to come up with the variables. No. So for the persons who are doing it for the first time, they might come up with one or two, and you can just put them down. But for the rest, most of the variables you already know.
I have a trick.
You're prepared.
Exactly, you are prepared. Giving people a whiteboard and tell them, make art. That's not
going to fly.
Giving them an artwork is renting, because I don't like this art. Giving them, in Dutch it's called a kleurplaat, help me, is a coloring...
Yeah, color book.
A color book.
Yeah.
With numbers. Like 1, 2, 3. We have drawn something and that's yours. So what I tend to do with causal loop diagramming, I prepped a diagram.
Mm-hmm.
And in like iterations of a couple of minutes, here you have a list. Make a diagram. If you are missing variables, add them. they tend not in the first time. Then you're providing them with a coloring book and they can have a success.
Yeah.
Just as happy as everyone is when they have built an IKEA cabinet, because we've built something ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. And what I like about that, also how you approach it, is you still give the person an option.
Yeah.
So even if you have, let's say, half of the cards already there, then any idea that person might have, you can still stick it there. And that's actually what you want.
I've had even different models coming out of the same variables.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Another is a simpler approach is making a force field analysis.
And how would that work?
It's quite easy. You have a problem. And an example that is often used is smoking.
Mm-hmm.
Why do people smoke? Everyone knows it's bad for your health.
Yeah.
But still. So you can make a force field analysis, and this is a quite simple technique that you can do instantly, even if you come across a CEO in the elevator. There's a problem, and in the middle you have a status quo line. And there are driving forces that try to change the status quo, but there are also restraining forces that keep you at bay. So in the case of smoking, a driving force to change is it is unhealthy for you. People know this.
Yeah.
But a restraining force is gezellig, they say in Dutch. It's something that I look forward to. It's my moment of checking out of the day and all the busyness. So they are in balance. Removing particular restraining forces or increasing driving forces can help you change the status quo. So a very fast approach is what's driving this, what's restraining this, and then simply, okay, and what are the most important or difficult ones that we need? What do you think, dear senior manager, which one should be intervened upon? And at least ensure that if you ask that question, that you have prepared ideas for all of the restraining and driving forces.
Yeah.
Then you have a conversation that provides them the ability to do their job because it's their mandate, while also listening to the things that they don't know about the organization as well as this field of interest. That's probably something you drive to change and improve on, because org design is a craft.
It is. And I think what is good about both this one and CLD, the thing it has in common is that you are doing it together.
Yeah.
With the other person, instead of that you're projecting some solution to that other person, which might be super comfortable. That's what often a lot of people would like. I ask you for a solution and then I happily take it. It's still renting. So it means I'm still not really empowered by it enough. But perhaps I don't care because I will be gone in 4 years anyway. So for now, it's fine. So that's why I regardless whether you use CLD or the impeding forces technique, there are probably even more that you can
there
apply.
Are many. These are practicalities. There are many things, but you need to have them own this issue and provide and delegate some autonomy to you or other people to do something about that. And that's the most difficult one because there is a lot of power and egos to manage. And one final one that I do want to elaborate on is what I tend to do and has worked for me very well is I make an analysis. Okay, I have a particular problem or thing that I want to change. And then let me make an analysis about you have the formal power structure. There is an informal power structure, and there is a value-creating power structure.
Yeah.
Before I dive into something big to change, I need to have leverage in preferably all three. And at least, and if you just have them in 2 of the 3, that's okay. But then you need to have the hierarchical power structure at your side. Because those 3 power structures are always present. in an organization. So if you just, and we see this often in agile environments, they're completely focused on the product, the value delivered. But an organization is more than just the value delivered. It's also the hierarchical structure or the informal structure. And when there is always an equilibrium between these three.
Mm-hmm.
So ensure that you have done enough coffees or scratched other people's backs that you can have a tit for tat, that you can have some political, social capital.
Yeah.
Have a sponsor, middle and or senior manager. And if you go to that meeting, also claim this is from a value structure, this is from an informal structure. I have these people on my side. Show them that you are aware of the different power structures and that you have done some analysis about how will this play out. And this takes some time. This just takes you time and coffees with other people, because especially larger organizations are really busy with the other two power structures.
Yeah. No, it's a powerful way of doing it like that as well.
Yeah, I think it's the only way, or at least the only way I know of, because I've had my fair share of failures in this essence, because so many times I just focused on the thing that's close to my heart, which is the value creation. That's what I love, the puzzling and the improving and creating a product.
Yeah.
But after having too much failures, I was like, okay, I need to play in all three, because if you don't, then you get tired of this work.
Yep. And
Because-
unfortunately, sometimes you need to have a bit of luck. And sometimes it can be very simple. So to give you an example, at one company we gave, I think around 9 kind of senior managers the same book. It was back in the day where Scrum and Agile was getting up to scratch. And one of them read it in one weekend and he was completely convinced. And he
amazing.
convinced all his peers. And then suddenly, within a week or two, we were kind of kicking off. And before that, we were already busy trying for a year to get the right approach. So sometimes you're a bit of luck. You try a few things.
Also, piggyback on current changes.
Yeah,
Works amazing.
that's true.
And I tend to often try to do that. Read the strategies and the policies and what's happening, and
And use that.
use that. Just a simple question to both the middle and the senior manager. What's keeping you up at night? Provides you with, okay,
Yeah.
let me think on that. And then I can come back with a solution for that, because often the desire to move towards less or to become more adaptable, become more agile, all of those things are often to make the workplace better, to make the product better, and have more fun. They are most likely related to that change program plan that they also have, because that's also for a reason. Piggyback. Makes your life a whole lot easier. Very much.
It does.
And not only manage up, but manage up and above. Especially in regarding, for example, middle management. If you have convinced middle management, you should start creating relationships. So in the informal power structure with their managers as well. Always, everything you do in these talks and in these plans, I always analyze, okay, if I want to do something on this level, how will it affect the level below? How will it affect the level above? Might even 2 levels above. How will they respond? Because that middle manager simply looks above.
Yeah. And I think to add to that, it's not enough to, because I see people do that often as well, They are kind of getting comfortable with middle management, and then they start to prepare material for middle management that they can use for the layer above. And that's good, but you should not forget what you're just saying, Kevin, that if the manager is going to do that work for you towards upper management, then you're still going to lose.
Yeah.
Because that middle manager will still have his own KPIs. So he will need you alongside to make sure that whatever you want to change.
But he doesn't
is
want
really-
that because that makes him look weak.
Potentially, yeah.
And if he will do it himself, which he probably will do, he will frame it in a way that helps his KPIs.
So you should not phase yourself out.
Exactly. You should be there. He should make an introduction.
Yeah.
And that makes it difficult because he might want to be there. It's challenging.
Fine. It's fine.
I think so too.
All right.
Do you also see that often senior managers are seen as a bit unapproachable by many people in an organization?
Yeah. But the good thing is you need to find ways where they are not. So to give you a good example, I often go to events where just external events, and sometimes I bump into events where there are only upper management, business owners, etc. And then you're at the normal level that you're talking about is that type of people.
Yeah.
And then everybody is super approachable. It's very funny to see that. You would be amazed how many funny stories you hear and all the problems they have.
Are they just
pouring
people?
out. Yeah, they're just people.
They're just people, right?
But when they are in their own organization, they are usually led by their secretaries or assistants and their time schedule, because they usually have to do quite a lot.
Yeah.
So finding their time where they're let's say the most approachable does require some research, and sometimes it's outside of the company.
Yeah.
Actually.
There are a couple of things that I also see people telling this often. Ooh, can I just send the CEO a message? No. Are you crazy? No, I'm not crazy. You should do it.
You can.
They want to.
Yeah, they love it.
They really love it. They really want to. We have told ourselves the story that they are not approachable.
But don't write bullshit stories or
Prepare.
super long. You need to prepare, definitely.
Yeah. You can. They are protected by secretaries because they have a lack of time. That's it. They also just need they need to go to the bathroom just as much as you, I, and the rest of the world. Prepare. You can present them with a longer story, but take time to write it well. Provide them with a 3-sentence executive summary.
Yeah, super important.
Yeah. Perhaps don't do email. Use a Teams chat. It works. They probably tend to read that somewhere scrolling.
Yeah.
And they are really open to it. They are really open to real stories from the floor.
Or physical cards.
Physical cards. And very simple. Walk around the floor that they're on. I always know that at one of my customers, I know that management is in on Thursday on a specific location. I tend to be on that specific location on Thursday because that gives me an interaction at the coffee machine. Some time to discuss things.
Elevators.
Do pitches and create that time. Don't be scared. I think that's the most important one here. They want to know. They want to hear. Present it to them quick, easy to consume, and provide them with an opportunity to come back to you. And then they often do.
All right.
Is it good to wrap up here?
I would say so.
I also think so because my timer is hinting at me that
Pew, pew, pew.
we need to wrap it up.
All right.
I really
Sounds good.
loved this talk again. We did a little
Likewise.
bit delving into how to convince management. It's a big subject. So for the viewers at home, I'm really curious to know, what are your ideas and what are the questions that you might have for us on this matter? Because it's a big subject, and if you have questions that you would love to ask us, and so that we can share some knowledge and experience about, then we would love to do so.
Definitely.
But for now, I'm going to say goodbye and see you next time. And thank
All right.
you.
Thank you as well, Kevin.